Hello, sister friends, and welcome to Taeda Tea. Today we are going to go over the last two blogs that were posted on Taeda Farms. In addition to that, we are going to look at a couple Instagram posts that were posted since the last episode I have, and then we are going to decipher. It's not too difficult, but we're going to go through it and find all the little passive-aggressive things that are involved there. Maddie, more and more, is not holding back. Here we go. Blog number one that I'm going to go over is pretty benign. I find this one actually interesting. This shows just how real and honest Maddie is because she describes the downsides of living on Taeda Farms and the downsides of being out in the wilderness. And I'm a little bit shocked by it just because we're so used to the Brown family painting everything as rose-colored sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, farting hearts. There is no way that we would ever hear, definitely not Robin, and probably not Christine and Mary either. Maybe Janelle, I don't know, but definitely not Robin, talk about the downsides of something. Robin is not going to say what she doesn't like about the house that she's living in right now. We're not going to hear about the cinder farm or cinder mill or cinder whatever it is that's right next to her property. We're not going to hear about all of the stuff that's now in the air that they're breathing on a daily basis over there. How long are they going to stay there before Solomon can't take it anymore and he can't breathe that stuff? We should do a poll. We're never going to hear about if she's lonely. When it comes to other people, we will be a victim and we will hear, will we hear about how horrible she feels and how sad she is and how victimized she is because of this person, because of that person, because of this person. She will even throw Kody under the bus. Never any for children, never heard that. But definitely she will be a victim when it comes to storyline. Now, she won't do it at the expense of her life sounding less than, which is why we won't hear negative things about this big, beautiful castle, excuse me. We will not hear about the caustic castle and how miserable it is. No. So I say that to say this is new to have somebody come out and go, this is what's not so great about living here. Now, of course, she'll flip it around at the end and get to the positive because unlike Kody and Robin, she can say, this is not great, but this is why it's worth it. All right, let's read. The title of the blog is We Ain't in Kansas Anymore. It reads, there are several moments over the past few months when I've looked around and thought, we ain't in Kansas anymore. Not that I've ever lived in Kansas, but wherever Kansas is, I'm fairly certain it doesn't involve conducting nightly tick inspections on your children like you're running TSA. For most of my life, I lived in neighborhoods where the biggest wildlife concern was whether someone's outdoor cat was using your flower bed as a litter box. If something bit you, it was probably a mosquito. If your dog smelled bad, she probably found a puddle. Out here, however, nature has chosen violence. It's a great line. The first surprise was the ticks. Nobody adequately prepares you for the sheer number of ticks involved in country living. At this point, finding a tick has become less of an emergency and more of an administrative task. Quote, can somebody grab the tick tool? I found another one. Check behind his ear. Did we get the dog? This is just normal dinner conversation now. Then there are chiggers. Before moving here, I never heard the word chigger. The first time somebody said it, I assumed it was either a derogatory term, a piece of farming equipment, or minor league baseball mascot. Again, great writing. Okay. Unfortunately, it was none of those things. It was a tiny, invisible bug whose sole purpose appears to be to make people miserable. If you never experienced chiggers, imagine being attacked by something that you can't see, can't find, and can't even effectively cuss out because you don't know where it is. It's a remarkable, unfair agreement. And poison oak deserves its own chapter in the book of Revelation. I swear, another good line. I swear it grows faster when it senses confidence. The second you think you figured it out, another patch appears like, well, hello there. We now have educational sessions with our kids, rhymes and everything. Leaves of three, leave them be. Unfortunately, Axel's preferred method of plant identification is charging into the woods, swinging a stick like he's clearing a path for Lewis and Clark. As a result, he regularly returns with some combination of bug bites, scratches, mystery rashes, and woodland souvenirs attached to his clothing. Just when I think we've adjusted to all of this, there's Gracie. Now, I've been told some dogs roll in dead things. What nobody told me is that some dogs make it their life's calling. Gracie approaches every trip into the woods like she's searching for her signature scent. Dead animal? Stunning. Random pile of poop? Classic. Something so horrifying that even the vultures passed on it? That's the limited edition collection. The worst part is the confidence. She always comes back looking incredibly pleased with herself, like she just spent the afternoon in a luxury spa instead of marinating on whatever biological warfare she found in the woods. I've asked around, and some people claim their dogs don't do this. I assume those people are lying. I have smelled a lot of unpleasant things in my life. I think Gracie's limited edition perfume took the form of bear poop, and immediately it took first place. Friends, I do not know bear poop smelled so foul. That was the day I questioned every decision that led us into country living. The funny thing is that all of the things that felt shocking when we first moved here are slowly becoming normal. Having a dedicated tick removal tool is normal. Owning 3 different anti-itch products is normal. Having strong opinions about bug spray is normal. Giving your dog her 3rd emergency bath of the week because she found a dead thing and thought, yes, I'd like to wear that, is apparently normal too. Every once in a while, usually while scratching a mysterious bug bite, I still wonder if this was a good idea. Then I watch the kids spend hours outside catching frogs, building forts, riding bikes, climbing trees, and coming home covered in dirt and stories. Such a good line. I love it. The imagery. I sit on the porch. Oh, shade. I sit on the porch and listen to the birds. I watch the fireflies blink all across the property. I watch the sunset over our little piece of land. Honestly, I've forgotten sunsets happen every night. For years, there was always a house, a neighborhood, or something else in the way. Out here, the sky puts on a show whether you're paying attention or not. When I experienced that, I remember this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted our kids to grow up outside. We wanted the shade. Okay, just have to say. That was direct shaded at Robin because they live where they could go outside, but the kids don't really go outside. No. There's a little patch of green grass with a playground set on it that we've never seen them on. Not to say they haven't been on it, but never seen them on it. I don't think they're outside very much. Or we'd see one clip of them outside. No, not since Robin separated from everybody else. Like when the rest of the Brown kids were together with Robin's kids would be outside at times because the rest of the Brown kids were outside playing, but not anymore. So I think that's direct shade. Okay, we wanted our kids to grow up outside. We wanted room to roam, room to build, room to dream a little bigger. We wanted a life that felt connected to the land. Nobody mentioned we'd also be connected to ticks, chiggers, poison oak, bear poop, and whatever Gracie rolled in this morning. But here we are. And one thing is certain, we ain't in Kansas anymore. That's so good. I just want to say for all my international viewers who, well, you've probably seen it already. I mean, it's an international film, but We Ain't in Kansas Anymore is a reference to Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Because she says to Toto as soon as she gets to Oz, Toto, we ain't in Kansas anymore. Okay. I was shocked, amazed, and pleased when I read that. Because also, it makes Maddie seem like a normal person, a normal parent, just normal. Not all sharing all the great stuff in her blogs and how wonderful she is and how she's homesteading and making her own milk.
Come again?
Okay, you can't make milk. It's a bad example. I should edit that out. Making her own bread.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Milking her own cows. While homeschooling and creating a quilt for each kid for every year of their life. Like, those channels exist.
That's awful.
But Maddie's like, no, this is what it's really like. And there is that theme that we're going to see when we get to her Instagram post. And a little bit of what we've read in this blog is not mirrored, but it's sort of echoed, and there's a nod to it. There's some similarities. You can tell some of the stories we just heard, you're going to hear in there as well. But before we get there, let's just stay in the arena of blogs, and let's read the one that Janelle wrote. Now, Janelle talks a lot about how this new world in North Carolina has opened her eyes, how she has done so many things for the very first time. And the fact she keeps talking about it and each day seems to be a new adventure for her, it really does make me realize, wow, she truly was sheltered in their relationship. Like, I think she just went to work, came home, and like moving on. Christine's taking care of the kids. She's taking care of the finances. We're just plugging through. I think that kind of breakup when she had to live on her own in the trailer, in the apartment, in the two houses that she had in Flagstaff, that Flagstaff period of time was really her opportunity to realize, I can do this. I can do this on my own. And that's when she even started taking vacations. Kody doesn't want to go. I'll just do it by myself. And then she really, really started to branch out. But I think she thought she had completely branched out. And then now she realizes, wow, no, there's a lot I still haven't done. I do find it interesting when you think about it. Christine pretty much, like months later, jumped into the serious relationship that became a marriage, and now she's living with him. So Christine never really had a good couple years of, this is just about you, Christine. You need to handle everything on your own, and you don't have somebody to turn to ask questions to. She had a couple months of doing that, but really, I feel like Janelle is really branching out. Mary's been on her own. Mary's been on her own for decades. So Mary, she can do it. She's got other issues, but independence is not one of them. All right, let's read what Janelle said. As Independence Day approaches, sorry, I'm behind people, I found myself thinking a lot about what independence really means. When we're young, independence feels exciting. It's getting your driver's license, moving into your first apartment, earning your own paycheck, making your own decisions. And for the most part, there's a roadmap for all of it, well, especially if you're in a cult. Society has a way of laying out the expected path. Graduate, start a career, get married, buy a house, raise a family. There are milestones, timelines, and plenty of people who have walked the road before us. Even when it feels a little scary, there's a general sense of what comes next. At 57 years of age, independence feels a little different. There isn't always a roadmap for starting over. There isn't a checklist for rebuilding a life, pursuing a dream you've never attempted before, or creating a future that looks completely different from the one you imagined 20 years ago. The trail is less defined. Sometimes you're making it as you go. In the morning, I drive out to the farm with a list of things that need to be done. And if I'm being completely honest, my first impulse almost every single day is to turn around and go home. Not because I don't want this life, quite the opposite. It's because I care so much about getting it right. I've read books, I've watched videos, I've spent hours researching. I can tell you what the experts recommend and what should happen next. But standing in the middle of an empty field with a planned project in front of me is an entirely different thing. That is usually when the panic shows up. What if I do it wrong? What if I waste money? What if all these plans don't work? What if everyone realizes I have no idea what I'm doing? Take our flower beds, for example. When we first laid them out, I was certain we had a good plan. We researched, measured, discussed options, and got to work. Then we discovered the first approach wasn't going to work the way we thought it would. So we changed it. Then we discovered the second approach wasn't much better. So we changed it again. At this point, we've redesigned those beds 3 different times, not because we're careless, but because some things simply can't be learned from a book, a YouTube video, or a spreadsheet. Sometimes the only way to figure out what works is to get your hands dirty and discover what doesn't. And now we're facing another challenge. The flowers are planted, but the well isn't in yet. We are in the middle of a significant drought, and every day brings the same question. How are we going to keep these plants alive until the permanent weather is available? I wish I could tell you I have a perfectly crafted solution, but I don't. What I do have is a willingness to keep looking for one. That's becoming a familiar theme around here. The farm seems determined to teach me that progress isn't a straight line. It's a series of adjustments, course corrections, mistakes, pivots, and trying again. And can I just pause there for a second? I feel like Kody didn't permit this to happen. Like, he was not happy if there has to be course corrections. He doesn't deal well with change. So I think a lot of this is like her independence. It's not just about life, it's about the people around you who allow you to live this life, who allow you to make mistakes, who allow you to pivot, who allow you to change your mind. He's so rigid. It is the way it is, and this is what we're doing. That's Kody Brown. And so when I read this, it makes me think that, like, okay, it's not just about I lived a pretty sheltered life before and now I have more independent life. I lived with a burden on my shoulders whose name is Kody Brown that is now released and allowing me to just be me. And that includes doing things right and doing things wrong. Kody didn't want to hear if things went wrong. Fix it and then tell me later. You got a problem? Don't complain to me. Keep it to yourself. This is our time. Do you want me to leave and go to another wife's house? That's Kody Brown. I'm Kody Brown. So reading this, it's a series of adjustments. He doesn't like adjustments. Course corrections. Oh, he doesn't like change. Mistakes. You can't make a mistake. You will be reamed for making mistakes. Pivots and trying again. It's just not permitted. It throws him in a tizzy. He can't handle it. And so I read this and I see independence in her life and making decisions, but also independence from people who were stressing her out. And it just feels light and airy and like, and I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to pivot and I'm going to do things differently. This is all new to Janelle because it wasn't permitted before. Moving on. She writes, maybe that's what's really hitting home for me right now. Independence isn't confidence. Independence isn't having all the answers. Independence is taking the next step even when you're unsure. It's showing up anyway. Ooh, that's another thing, that showing up. We could do a whole video on who showed up and who hasn't shown up for each other in the family and at events. Okay. Not these two. Freedom is found in the willingness to begin before you feel ready, trusting yourself enough to take the next step even when the path isn't clear, to make a decision, to discover it wasn't the right one, to adjust, and to keep going. The older I get, the more I realize that freedom isn't the absence of uncertainty. Freedom is knowing that uncertainty doesn't get to make the decision anymore. I love that. I think the classic example of this is the trailer. Kody didn't like it. He doesn't like change. He doesn't like it. When it started not working out and when they were having problems with it, you could see the angst, the anger, the increasing volume, the animosity in Kody. And you could see Janelle standing there like, it's going to be okay. We're going to work. Like, she's just always trying to put out fires and pretend it's going to be fine. Like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's not really working out, but it's going to be fine. She doesn't have to do that anymore. She can just say, yeah, this isn't working out. Pivot, I guess we're going to plan B. I mean, can't do that with Kody. I'm imagining because she bought that with her own money, she still has it. So at least there's a little bit of real estate investment that we've never really talked about in the past. Janelle at least ended up with the camper. I hope she didn't sell it before leaving Kody, because if that were the case, the money went back to the family fund. Oh, again, all the little details of finances that would make amazing television if TLC would just watch this channel. Or Puddle Monkey would wake up and realize what makes good TV. Do they want to keep working on the show or don't they? Then let's speak truth about money. That's the best stuff in the world. I don't need to hear Kody yelling with his kids and his kids yelling at Kody. I mean, it just gives me anxiety. But finances, that brings me joy. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm getting myself all excited over something that's not existing. Let's go to Maddie's Instagram to wrap this up. It doesn't disappoint. She has a couple posts there. I'll surmise what a bunch of them said. Basically, before I would do a post, and just in general in life, I would always clean up everything. I would make sure that everything looked nice and clean. I wouldn't go to bed without making sure the island was clear. And one time she's like, I just want you to see this is what my island looks like right now. And it was a mess. I've seen mine messier, but it was a mess. In all the comments, people responded so positively to her, like, thank you. That's what my island looks like right now. Actually, her island's a lot like what my island looks like right here, right now. It's loaded with a painting project, a puzzle project, and bags and stuff that I'm getting ready to pack up to take back to Ohio. That's life. That's reality. All right. 2 posts that I want to read to you from Madison. When I click on them, the most recent one says it was posted June 28th. So I'm a little confused by that. I don't know. Maybe she made it a pinned comment. Maybe that's why. So I'll read that one first, and then I'll read the other one that was posted 1 day ago. All right. So the pinned comment, which might be the same one I read to you. I don't think so, though. No, I don't think so. Let's read this. Maddie wrote, I didn't grow up knowing what peace felt like. I just have to pause there for a second because both of these are really going to be, we're going to talk about how I realized what I was lacking and how I'm getting to the other side of that and how things are opening up and et cetera, et cetera. But she's not just talking about Kody. She needs to realize she's throwing digs at Janelle as well, because Janelle chose to put her in that situation. Janelle made the choice not to take her out of that situation. And I don't know that Janelle filled all the gaps that Kody left. I mean, you can't really. The physical presence isn't there, but there's a lot of dads that travel often, that are military, that and they still are able to be what they need to be. But when they're gone, the responsibility of the mom is to fill the gap and be to the best of their ability what they can be for that absent parent. And I'm not sure that Janelle was able to do that, because one of those things would be decreasing chaos in life, calming things down, making sure that there's quiet times 3 times a day, whatever she needed to do. I get it. Janelle had all the boys. That has to have been insane and crazy. But you couple that with the chaos that is Kody Brown, and I think Madison was just reeling. So in my opinion, this is throwing a little bit of shade at Janelle as well, and Christine, and I mean, all of them, all the parents have to own part of what Maddie talks about in this post, in my opinion. That being said, I think Kody Brown gets the prize for the most responsibility in creating chaos in the family, hands down. Maddie wrote, I didn't grow up knowing what peace felt like, at least not in the nervous system sense, not even in the exhale at the end of the day sense. My childhood was chaotic in ways that I've spent my entire adult life making sense of and choosing to build something completely different from. That's the short version. Maybe one day I'll tell the long one. Okay, I got pause because nothing like dangling a carrot in front of us. Maybe one day I'll let it all out. Maddie, we've always thought Maddie's the one that's going to do it. Well, for a while we thought Gwendolyn would, but she's off the radar now. I don't think she's going to. Gwendolyn can get paid off. Maddie can't. And I just think there is a book that will make her retire and get special bug removal service on a daily that covers the entire farm. She can turn it into Disney World. You know how Disney World manages to get rid of all the bugs? The proceeds for the book, the honest book of spilling all the dirt, not in a nasty way, but just in an honest way. I think, oh, she would not have to want for anything. Okay. Moving on, she writes, what I know is this. I got married young. I had my first son at 21, moved across the country at 23 to find my footing. And somewhere in the middle of it all, the parenting books I consumed, the hard decisions I made, the life my husband and I quietly built together, I found something I didn't grow up with. Peace. Not the absence of chaos, but with the presence of it and the ability to choose calm anyway. Now I'm a mom of 4. We're building a homestead called Taeda Farms that has flowers somewhere in there. I homeschool, I bake my own bread, and I go to Chick-fil-A. I love a Diet Coke. I read labels and I don't demonize sugar. I've been in holistic living for 15 years, and I know exactly where it crosses a line that I won't follow. I'm a halfway homesteader, a deeply intentional mom, a woman who is still figuring out what peace looks like in practice and thinks that process is worth talking about out loud. This page is going to be real food, intentional motherhood, and we're building at Taeda a marriage worth celebrating. And the slower, simpler life I'm choosing for my family on purpose. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be a performance. It's going to be honest. If you're the mom who's tired of opening an app and feeling behind, stay. If you're trying to build something intentional without losing your mind in the process, stay. If you've ever thought of making this harder than it needs to be and didn't know how to stop, stay. This is for you, Maddie. Liked by Savannah Brown. Let's finish up with her most recent post from yesterday. The title on the picture is Sometimes Healing Requires Actual Distance, not just emotional distance. So at 23, I packed up and left. Here's what that gave me. So this one's not about mama. Mama lives next door. This one is 100% Kody Brown. We are talking only about Kody right here. Let's go. Some of this is repeating also from that last post from June, but I don't care. I guess it just goes to show the stuff that she repeats is directly about daddy. Anyway. And I do need to say, she might be thinking she's talking about her dad the entire time, but I personally think Janelle needs to take some responsibility for this too. Listen, if my kids wrote this about their dad and they talked about the emotional chaos and unsettledty, no calmness and that, as a parent, I would feel awful that I didn't do what I needed to do so that they didn't feel all of that as a result of the spouse, that I didn't step up in a way that protected them and that filled the gap on some way. It's still going to affect. I'm not saying it would completely wipe it away and that they would have a perfect life, but this pretty intense the way she talks about chaos and lack of peace altogether in her life. So anyway, that being said, this I'm about to read is about the Coaster. Here we go. When I was 23, my husband got a job 2,400 miles from where I grew up. We didn't move because we were angry. We weren't trying to escape anyone. It was simply the next opportunity for our little family. Looking back, though, I think that distance became one of the greatest gifts we could have been given. For the first time in my life, I had enough space to begin seeing things clearly. That goes to show you that the ones that are still under the roof with Kody are still in it. And it's going to be hard for them to break away. Makes me wonder if Dayton getting away was able to see things clearly. If he's still in Flagstaff, probably not. Sometimes you need more distance where you can't be sucked in at holidays or sucked in when somebody needs you, because it's simply not possible. It is not possible for Kody Brown to suck one or both of them into anything, because he can't even manage to get over there to visit them. So he certainly can't expect them to come to him for anything. There was room to ask hard questions, room to read, room to eventually go to therapy, room to untangle parts of my childhood and the religion that I was raised in, room to recognize patterns I've never noticed because I've always been living in the middle of them. I don't know if I could have done that work while staying close to everything that I had known. Sometimes you have to step outside of a story before you can understand the role it played in shaping you. Only then could I begin to see the ways I was unknowingly carrying pieces of that story into the life I was building and into the people that I loved most. Whew. Ouch. That distance didn't make me love my family less. It didn't erase all the good. It simply gave me enough breathing room to decide what I wanted to carry into the next chapter of my life and what I wanted to leave behind. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm incredibly grateful my husband's career led us away. Not because we're running from something, but because that move gave our little family the space to grow, to heal, and to build a life that felt intentional from the ground up. Looking back now, I don't just see a move for work. I see the beginning of a life we spent the last decade intentionally building. That's it. I am really curious now that Aspen has a child, what her opinion is of this. Because she's the one that seems like she keeps going back. Well, so did McKelty, let's be honest. I personally feel like a big part of McKelty staying in contact with them is not only I'm the bridge builder and I can talk to everybody and get along with everybody, until they burn you too. I also believe that it is because she wanted to stay on the show. So if she can even superficially still be in contact with them, then when they're filming, maybe she can take the kids there at Christmas, or she can be there when filming is happening. McKelty and Tony have never met a camera that they didn't like. But even them, even the last holdouts of, he's a great guy, and she's just misunderstood that Robin. Her hair looks great. What are you talking about? Those eyebrows are amazing. Even McKelty has switched sides and said, I need distance. Now, possibly Maddie is helping her see the light by being over there. Like, I think that they do visit Maddie and Caleb and the kids on a fairly regular basis. And by that, I mean like once a month or something. They seem to get together a decent amount. And I'm sure every time they get together, they're not showing it on camera. But Maddie is so grounded and so logical and so educated in her speaking that when she talks about her dad to McKelty has to stop and listen. Now, Tony doesn't. He's still team Kody and Robin. He will pretend like he has McKelty's back. He will occasionally just like cover his face and shake his head, but he's always laughing when he does it. He just thinks Kody's funny. He finds all these horrible things that Kody does as funny, hysterical. I could do an entire montage of Tony laughing at all the terrible things that Kody says. And maybe it's just Tony. Maybe he's just one of those people that laughs inappropriately. You know how some people, whenever there's an inappropriate or uncomfortable situation, they just laugh about it and they can't help it. My daughter had a friend like that in high school. She was a great girl, but like if somebody got hurt and that, she couldn't help but to just bust out laughing like something was miswired. Maybe Tony's one of those people. I don't know. I don't see him laughing at anything Mary's done, so I don't think so. Trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Who knows? Why, Jenny? Just let it go. But since they have jumped ship, I would be very interested to see Aspen and Isabel. Isabel still single. She might still be involved in it. She still wants that relationship with her dad, and she realizes now that she sees what David is for her, how lacking Kody has been. Aspen, I don't know as much because she was already gone and married. And well, now that she has a child of her own, is she going to cut off Kody? I don't know. What do you think? And what do you think of these posts? I don't know if you even want to call it subtle digs at her dad. They're pretty blatant. They're pretty out there. They're not so subtle. Do you think it's also a little subtle dig at the moms? The 4 moms? I don't know. Tell me what you think. This is just my opinion on it, but I wanted to share with you what's been the update. Thank you for watching this version of Taeda Tea, and stay tuned for the next one. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell. The bell will notify you when I put up another video. And if you can hype this, you're my best sister friend ever. Have a great day. Take care. God bless. Adios. Bye-bye.